Record. Well, it says it's recording. Okay. All right, cool.
Okay. I think we're live. I'll just double check. See, this is the thing with StreamYard. You don't have to go through this. I'm sure there's an easy. Oh, we are live. Yes. Hi, everybody. Let's see. Let's wait for a few people to jump on. Okay. We are still live. There's just waiting for people to jump on. It just needs a bit of a nudge. Yoo-hoo! Anybody there? Oh, people have jumped on. Great. There we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Love in Action show with me, Alpa Soni, on this impromptu evening, Sunday evening here in the UK with these two wonderful, wonderful beings that I have a great connection with, Charlie and Lisa, who are no strangers on my show. Hey, guys, how are you doing?
We're doing great. Glad to have a chance to come back. It's been a while, but we appreciate the chance to be with you today.
It has been a while. I think it's been almost over a year. And we were just saying that your show disappeared from my YouTube. Who did it? Who was it out of YouTube? Who took that show off? I demand a refund. That was a great show. That was the first part of the Stargate Pyramid show that we did. And it's just a mystery. Anyway, I'm excited to have you both on here. There's lots happening. Lisa and Charlie are both on the Truth Talk. They have been on the last one. And there's a lot going on, but we've been planning to do this show for quite some time. And as I always say, that the universe has the right time and the right moment for us to connect. And it clearly is this one tonight, because we're celebrating a 9-day festival, which represents good over evil. And it's a Hindu celebration where we all go and do these stick dances and clap our sort of way around all the statues, and everyone's singing and dancing, and it's a joyous affair. And I can't go, but I'm happy to be here and celebrating good over evil with you guys.
What a wonderful thing to celebrate. That's fantastic.
Yeah, you can definitely feel it in the air. There's a big change ahead.
Yeah. So Charlie and Lisa, there's a lot going on with you guys. You've just gone from strength to strength. Lisa with her lovely capstones, and she's sitting under the pyramid. So much has happened in the last year and a half, I believe, for both of you.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'll start off with Charlie. Charlie, take it away.
Sure.
Catch up to speed with everything
Yes.
that's going on with you.
Well, you're right. The last year or so have been a major time for me because we had a tremendous upswing in business last year, thanks to the interviews with you and JC and Mark Atwood and so forth. But as things kind of got a little bit more normal, I've been working on a book for about 2 years at that point, so it's 3 in total. And originally, I was going to do the book purely on the Russian pyramids, but Alpa, when we were on last time, one of the things that we showed was that this geometry shows up, or was showing up in Hindu and Buddhist temples and some other places. But long and short of it, not only have I been able to compile just an extraordinary number of architectural examples from all cultures, all religious traditions. We'll look at all that. And so what I started to think was that, the bigger story here is, or as big a part of the story is not just the sacred geometry, but the fact that we knew about this as mankind for thousands of years. This all goes back at least to the ancient Vedas, and that's the oldest place, that we have found it. At that point, but then I started finding it elsewhere. I found this geometry in conical structures that date back possibly 300 to 400,000 years. So the focus of the book changed quite a bit, and I got the book finished and published in May of this year. And it's been wonderful having that as a resource now that I can show people with pictures, and also we're not going to talk about mathematics and geometry today, but that's all in there as well. So I think this is the kind of research that hasn't been done since we lost this knowledge, probably in the last 200 to 500 years. I believe there was some sort of a major reset. We've lost all of this knowledge and interest in sacred geometry. So yeah, it's been a wild year, a great experience. And, in the interim, Lisa's going to talk about some of the research projects that she's working on. The foundation has purchased some equipment that we're going to start using for testing and so forth. So just lots of really wonderful things that are happening. And, I love having the chance to talk about the book and let people see with their own eyes all of this wonderful information that's been hiding in plain sight for centuries.
Yeah.
So it's been great.
No, and I'm sure the viewers will be excited to learn. And I think this is where we're at. We're learning so much in this movement, not just about the kind of grassroots geopolitical stuff. I think that this has really opened a door for us to explore hidden knowledge like never before. And over the last 2 years, in this great awakening movement, people are more accepting of new information and ancient information without it having the too much of the woohoo connotation behind it. So we're progressive in that way, but a lot of this information gets shut down, and that's sad, because we were just saying that what happened to our last video, I just don't know. Why are they scared that we discuss these topics? But this isn't anything that needs to be censored, or nor should it be. So
right.
It's dealing in the mystical realms. But of course, when you're drawing so much information into facts and heavy research, I'm sure the viewers will be looking forward to reading your book. So did you want to start, Charlie, or do you want to just say something before Charlie starts his presentation, Lisa?
Well, I'm just saying it's amazing to see everybody looking for truth nowadays. Like I'm on TikTok for the first time, and there's just so many people in the spiritual movement on there. The younger generation are really going to catch up to us fast, because they're digging and really connecting the dots for a lot of things. And you'll really see today with Charlie's presentation, the connection between ancient Tartaria. That information is really getting out there, and how they use this technology for a long time for a lot of different things. So
yeah. And before we start, I'm just checking the chat at the moment, and it's interesting because as soon as you mentioned the word pyramids, I'd say this, and I mean it polite. Oh, where did Charlie go?
Charlie disappeared. He'll come back. He has bad service now. They're messing around with installing different towers and stuff where he lives, and he'll be back here shortly. But I just saw that too. Yeah, people need to realize that pyramids are a tool, just like a Ouija board is a tool, just like a pendulum is a tool. They're tools that help you tap into to your true self, your energy, but they're powered by your intuition, by your intention, I should say. If you have a bad intention, you're going to do bad things with it. If you have a good intention, you're going to do good things with it. So just use it appropriately. If you're scared of it, maybe you need to check yourself instead of us,
I know, and this is one thing that I've observed in this movement, Lisa, while we wait for Charlie to come back on. My show in particular is I invite a whole host of guests, although I haven't been very active recently. I was just on a live, folks, on a beautiful channel called Rise Up. Be sure to follow them on Rumble. And we had such a just a high vibing conversation for 2 hours, and I didn't even know where the time went. And even though I'm not doing that many shows or interviews on my own channel, I like to give everyone the opportunity to talk. Yeah. And everyone has a voice. I'm not censoring anything unless YouTube is. And, you know, it's a variety of, here we go, come back in, Charlie, a variety of different conversations that we have. And I implore all of you that is watching is to not have, and I say this respectfully, an ignorant mindset that's so, that's so restricted just because you've seen a pyramid. And in this journey, we've learned so much about the pyramid and its symbolism. But remember, everything has been inverted as well. And there's the duality. So while we can look at, let's say, for example, numerology and numbers. I mean, I was speaking to a really amazing author of the book called the 1111 Awakening Code yesterday, and I'll be putting that up on my show later on, either this evening or tomorrow. And we were talking about, you know, the significance of numbers as well, including 666, for example, how that's been inverted and aligned to the satanic subjects. But how much do we really truly know? So for somebody to make a comment like that on the pyramids, it's okay. It's fine. And if it's something that you want to align with in a bad context, then I humbly ask you maybe just to switch off the channel and watch something else. My channel is here to encourage people like Charlie and Lisa. You know, he's written a book. I'm really excited to hear about it. They've both sent me the pyramids. So many of my friends who've bought those pyramids and received the capstones have reported back to me some beautiful meditation experiences. And I implore everybody to dig a little bit deeper into the history of pyramids and the beautiful things both Lisa and Charlie are doing. So I just thought I'd get that off my chest there, because this is live and I do appreciate everybody's valuable comments. So I just wanted to speak to that first. So yeah.
Well, that's beautiful. Why dismiss something like this, something so powerful? We already know that we've been lied to our entire lives, almost about everything, you know, so why not at least look into it and give it a chance instead of just dismissing it, you know, and thinking that it is evil, because, you know, maybe the things that you believe in are actually the evil things, you know, and not to say that you weren't tricked into believing that. We all were tricked, but this is the only way that we can resolve things and get to the real truth, is to compare notes.
Yeah.
You tell me what your truth is, what your experiences are, you know, I do the same. And that's what we've discovered. That's what the Truth Tour is about too, is, you know, people have different speakers have conflicting information there, but it's all about being grown up about it and just discussing things and figuring out what the truth really is. That's the only way we're going to discover it, you know?
Yeah. Well, before we get started, I just want to acknowledge everyone in the room. Jay, Michael, Jeremy, Heather, Free Speech Warrior, of course, Nick, what are you doing there? You should be on the show.
Yeah, Nick, what's up?
Get your booty on the show if you're free. But yeah, no, he would join, but he's had a very busy weekend. But for sure, we'll get something. We can even put this on Good Line as well. But thank you, everyone. Is that Nick the insurrectionist? I love it. You know, when people write these comments, it's great. Intention is everything. Yes, Lisa, it is, you know. So I think we kind of need to educate ourselves as well, because truth, subjective, objective. Your truth may be different to my truth. What we're doing here is speculative in terms of what's going on politically. Okay, we're deciphering information, we're researching information, we kind of like then put our spin to it. But we have to kind of navigate away from my truth better than your truth and all that camaraderie that goes on. That's just silly. We are exposed now to so many different things, and it should just keep that curiosity going, which is what I'm about. You know, let's talk about it. How you feel? Okay. But when you put on a pyramid, damn, she's evil, she's a shill.
Yeah, but it affects even us that way though too. You know, I know when this stuff first started coming out a couple of years ago about Giza pyramids and the elite use them for their evil doings and stuff like that, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, did I get roped into something? Are the pyramids really evil? You know, I had that in my mind for a while, and then you get things like shouldn't communicate with spirit because they're not spirits, they're all demons. And I'm a medium. I've been communicating with them. And so that kind of scared me and made me hesitant for a while. But then I realized that the real truth is inside of you, and you need to learn to trust that, because everybody has their own trust, their own truth, their own experiences. And I have never once experienced anything that felt bad to me when I communicated with spirit or when I used the pyramids. So that's why I believe this is my truth. The pyramid energy works. Communicating with spirits works, and works for me. It might not work for you, but like I said, it's fueled by my intention. My intention is pure. My intention is good. And so I expect that to be the outcome of my results as well. You know,
I've had so many people say, Nick included, he loves the pyramid. It's in his room. He meditates. He uses the caduceus the stick, the coil, and he has had some profound experiences himself. Mine's outside, and it's huge because it doesn't fit in my. I keep meaning to get the smaller one for my room, but because my one's outside and kind of blown away by the wind.
Well, Paul can make her new. Paul is in the UK, our UK distributor. So I'm sure he can make you something that'll help you out and fit in there. He has pyramid retreats and things that he's been doing over there. Just amazing.
Get the smaller one, definitely, because I want to put it in my temple so that my mum will be, I can't fit in this. It's too small.
Good deal.
Right. Well, look, it's just great to be reconnected. So let's get into the juicy part.
Okay.
And see what you got for us, Charlie.
All right. You know what I'm going to open up my slides now. I want to make sure that everyone can see this. I'm going to start at the beginning of the, whoops, let's go back to the beginning here. Slideshow start. There we go. So what you all saw is a secret we'll talk about later, but that pyramid that you saw was actually on the Maidan in Kiev in 2014 during the coup. So unfortunately, that's an example of how things can be used for good or for evil, but we'll get to that. Anyway, let's start with this opening slide. For those of you who are aware, the Russian government has been funding research on pyramids for the last 30 years or so, and that research has been done by a team of scientists from both Russia and the Ukraine, interestingly enough, over that time. But the scientific research that came out of that is really what got me interested, and Lisa, in making Russian pyramids for the public to use for meditation, healing, and the like. So what you see here on the opening slide on the left is a picture of the Russian pyramids. I'm sure a lot of you are going to say, what is 76.345? That's your first question. Well, what it is, it's a particular geometric angle, which, as we'll see in a few minutes, represents nature's natural scaling geometry. And you say, well, what is scaling? We're going to talk about a lot of concepts here today, but if you believe, for example, that your thinking helps to create your experience, I certainly do, I know that that's true in my life, then there has to be some sort of a mechanism, a process by which that thought is converted into physical experience. And this geometry of 76345 is the geometry that appears, and we're going to find it in so many different places that it's almost impossible to think that this knowledge hasn't been known, and it was known for thousands of years all over the world. But as we're going to see, we've kind of lost this in the last couple hundred years. But anyway, on the left, the pyramid, in the middle here, we have DNA with this very same geometric angle. And interestingly enough, on the right-hand side here, we have the caduceus, which is the universal symbol for healthcare. And sure enough, the angle of the snakes coiling around that pole is the exact 76.345. So I want to start by giving people a little bit of background on this topic. I've started with a quote from Benjamin Franklin, because I think we really have to understand why is this significant? And what Franklin said was that it is in the region of ignorance that tyranny begins. And we are all living through tyranny at the moment. And a big part of that is because we have collectively lost the knowledge of how powerful we truly are. And this work is going to help to show that. So sacred geometry is something that most of us have heard about, but we don't know what it is or its relevance in our lives. And, you know, the question that I will pose to your audience is, have you ever wondered why sacred geometry isn't taught in school? We hear about it and we aren't taught about it. Well, here are two of the major reasons why. Number one, sacred geometry demonstrates that our physical reality is produced via a precise interplay of mathematics, geometry, harmonics, and proportion, using the golden ratio, or phi, as the universal scaling unit, and consciousness, our thought, collectively and individually, as the engine for this process. Once properly understood and appreciated, one cannot escape the fundamental truth that reality is the product of a higher universal intelligence, or God, and we control that reality through our thinking and our consciousness. And that is a huge, profound difference from what we are taught with ideas such as the Big Bang, which have no real validity in science, but are taught to us as a worldview, because all of a sudden we're nothing more than a mere accident. But once you understand this information, you know that you are literally an individualization of this God or higher intelligence. So that's number one, and that is so profound. But the proper application of sacred geometry has tremendously positive results, such as free energy, health, longevity, increased agricultural production, and cleaning the environment, it's speeding up manifestations, improving your immune function, and so forth. So the medical industry doesn't want us to know that we can live healthy lives without pills and procedures. And certainly the oil industry doesn't want us to know that the world around us used to have free energy up until a couple of hundred years ago. So those are two major things that the elite that are controlling our world don't want us to know about. So just to finish up, 76.345 is a specific angle associated with the term is called universal phi scaling. It's a phenomenon that researchers such as Nassim Haramein and Dan Winter have proven is used in nature to scale everything from the subatomic to the galactic. And we're going to see pictures of all this here in a few minutes.
Quick question, or an observation while you do that. Sorry to interject, but when you see number 76.35, when you add it all up, it's 25. When then in its single digit, it's 7. And if you've got 7s associated with divinity, and if you've got the triangle and it's on each corner, it adds up to 28, which then in the single digit is 1, which is 1 with God. So that's just an observation on my part just now.
You know, that's fascinating. I haven't really analyzed it from that perspective. It's
I
just
see everything
geometry to me. But yeah.
On the
Yeah.
universal side. So like when I add up numbers, and just because I've been obsessed with like the 1111 code, and figuring out what all of that means in terms of universal intelligence, this subject just fascinates me, and it doesn't surprise me that these are the numbers of what you're talking about. So sorry to interrupt you.
Okay. Yeah. So just to finish up this slide, this is an intro slide, 76.345. It's found in architecture and natural phenomenon, ancient symbols, diagrams, ancient and contemporary technology. We'll see some of that contemporary technology here in a few minutes, all hiding in plain sight. So essentially, we've lost all this knowledge over the last couple hundred years. My theory is that there was some sort of a reset that occurred. And we see this in other physical phenomena, melted buildings around the earth and mud floods and so forth. So I can't tell you how that happened, but it looks as though we lost that information. So quickly, what is sacred geometry? A lot of you have heard of it. I'll give you a quick definition. It's the fundamental laws which create everything in our existence. And these laws unite consciousness and matter. And again, remember what I said in the previous page, our thinking is what creates our physical experience. And this is the process that links consciousness and creation. So what is the golden ratio? Again, the golden ratio is nature's natural scaling relationship or ratio. So think for a minute about how you would make something get bigger or smaller with a simple mathematical formula. Well, you could start with two numbers and add those two together to come up with the next number. And then we could add the second and third number to come up with the fourth. That's actually what's called the Fibonacci sequence. And essentially, the golden ratio is a derivation of the Fibonacci sequence. So that number is phi is, or the golden ratio is really not a number, but it's a relationship. And I want people to understand that concept. You cannot ever precisely measure the golden ratio, but you can approximate it. And it's approximated down at the bottom as 1.618, so on and so forth. So most of the time we use 1.618 as a shortcut number to plug into mathematical formulas and so forth to approximate this infinitely irrational number of the golden ratio. Now, how did I derive this quickly? The Russian pyramids, the literature, the scientific literature was prohibited from being published in the United States. After the fall of the Soviet Union, the Russian scientists and Dr. Alexander Golod, who headed up that research team, they all tried to get this research published in the West, and it was all summarily rejected. I think that was done on purpose because of the information that I've been able to figure out. But long and short of it, I knew that I couldn't, Dr. Golod had said that the golden ratio was involved intimately in the geometry, but no one ever told us how it was done. So I made an estimate, or made a guess as to how it was done, and it turned out to be right, that if most people who talk about cosmology or the creative process in the universe say that all creation begins inside of a sphere in 3 dimensions. Well, I can, on the diagram on the left, what I decided to do was to test out a theory, which turned out to be correct, that if I took a circle in 2 dimensions or a sphere in 3 with a diameter of 1, you'll see that Li equals 1 at the bottom there, bottom circle. I'll point to it right now with my cursor, but that I started with that. And then I started building circles or spheres in 3 dimensions whose diameters decreased by phi or were divided by phi. So the first one, if I took 1 divided by 1.618, and that gets me 0.618 for the diameter of the second one, did the same thing, came up with 0.382, 0.236, and so forth. This could theoretically go on to infinity. I did it for about 15 circles and then plotted it and determined that the geometry, this is called the slant angle at the bottom here in the middle diagram, is 76.345 degrees, which of course perfectly matches that of the Russian pyramids. So I knew I was on my way, but here's one of the first also kind of a secondary confirmation that this information was accurate. When you a lot of people say, well, gee, that pyramid looks a lot different than the Giza pyramid. And at first blush, it most certainly does. But what I decided to do on the left was to plot examples of the 2 pyramids. You can see here from ACB, or ACF rather, the tall pyramid, that's the Russian pyramid. But the shorter one underneath it, AEF, is actually the dimensions of the Giza pyramid, both of which with a common base length of 2, which is the AF equals 2. Well, anyway, the important thing for you to see is that the golden ratio is all over the dimensions in all of these, or both of these pyramids. But the key factor to look at the very bottom here is the slant angle of the Russian pyramid and the apex angle of the Giza pyramid are exactly the same. Now I'll point where that is. I'm pointing with my cursor now. This is the slant angle of the Russian pyramid. It goes from the horizontal base up to, this line CF. That's 76.345 degrees. But the apex angle I'm showing you now of the Giza pyramid up here at the top is also 76.345. So I'm going to just show you kind of visually, you can take that Giza pyramid there, and in other words, if you turned it over like that, you can see the orientation. The angle is exactly the same. It's just in a different position. So I don't know why that's true at this point. It'll take some more research, but another proof that that was the case. Now I want to show you some examples in natural phenomenon. This is on the left, the refraction of light. If you take a pipe and put a glass sphere at the end of it, shine a light through it, and then measure the angle of refraction, you get this exact 76.345 degrees. And I know people are saying, oh, well, it says only 76.34. When I was doing this, I only had a protractor app that would measure to 2 significant digits. But the same thing here with a megaphone. We can't see sound, but we can certainly measure the geometry of a device that we know will amplify that sound, and that is 76.345. We also find it in DNA. That's got to be profound to see that it's inherent in the very geometry of the stuff that makes us, who we are. And finally, for those of you in terms of natural phenomenon who are familiar with the concept of the torus, this is the most widely accepted, structure in theory as to how creation actually occurs. This is a dynamic model where these energy flows are twisting back on each other, but flowing through this torus, coming up from the bottom, meeting in the middle, and then coming back out up the top. So once again, we're seeing this geometry, and it is integrally involved in the process of creation. So now I want to go to some of the examples that we found, and this is just I've got over 1,000 photographs in the book that show these examples. But anyway, the first thing I want to talk about are these Sardinian nuragis. I'm going to let Lisa talk about this for a minute because she was actually in Sardinia, but these are ancient structures on the island of Sardinia. Sardinia is an island which is part of Italy, but it's in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea. These nuragis in certain architectural aging methodologies are estimated to be somewhere between 300,000 and 400,000 years old. There are anywhere from 10 to 20,000, it is estimated, of these nuragis that were originally built on the island of Sardinia. But I'm going to let Lisa talk about her experiences there and the experiences and life expectancy of people on the island. So Lisa, you want to come in here for a minute?
Sure, I love talking. Yeah, so okay. I was honored to actually travel to the island of Sardinia several years ago, and I went there to learn about pulse electrical magnetic therapy, and they specifically chose that island because it has the highest electrical magnetic field on the planet. And as soon as you get to the island, our plane hadn't even landed yet, but you could feel your body vibrating. It was so powerful. And I knew there was something special to this island. And I did some research before I went there, but I wasn't really sure of what to expect until I got there. But they have, like Charlie said, literally thousands of these stone towers all over the island. And it's an island about the size of Sicily. So it's not a huge island, but literally 20,000, I believe, of these towers. And they've only excavated about 700 of them, I believe. So they're all filled with dirt and sediment and, different things like that. But each one of these stone towers is connected with a 3-foot stone wall, every one of them. So there's nowhere that you can look in Sardinia where you're not going to see a stone tower or a stone wall. That's how prominent they are. They also have things called the tombs of the giants, and that's a totally different story. Of course, the archaeologist that gave us the tour said there were no giant skeletons buried here. They're just called tombs of the giants because they are large they're bigger than normal. But of course, we know because of all the pictures that there were definitely giants there as well. You have pictures of the locals with a femur bone up to their shoulders, but these are really cool. So the stone towers, my roommates and I were actually able to wander through the wilderness there. And we sat on top of one of these towers and meditated for a while. And I asked what it was. And I immediately saw rabbit ears, 2 rabbit ears and antenna. So I knew it was an antenna. And then we got interrupted by another group that was following us, wondering what we were doing. So we didn't get to meditate much on there. But like I said, you could just feel the vibrations. All the stones there resonate at such a high vibration. I was able to bring a couple of them home and I meditate with them a lot as well. But one interesting thing that I discovered, and I didn't discover this until just recently, but one of these Sardinian nuraghi, there's a certain one on a specific day of the year where you can go inside of it and you take a picture and it will develop into an X-ray picture.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Wow,
Yeah, and then like Charlie said, it has the highest life expectancy on the planet as well, the island of Sardinia. And there's also the relics that they find on Sardinia. They have, they're called the Shining Ones. The peoples that supposedly built these were called the Shining Ones. And some people think that it could be Atlantis,
Mm-hmm.
wow.
So anyway, I'll show you, well, we only have the one example. I think I have about 25 or 30 examples in the book of these nuragis.
And I didn't even connect the dots until Charlie had found the great Zimbabwe ruins. And then I was like, oh my goodness, it looks just like the nuraghi in Sardinia,
Well, that's right. That's right. All of these look the same. Structurally, they're quite similar. So another country that has these similar kinds of conical structures is Scotland. And they're called Brochs. And now they're not dating these back. They're dating these back to a little bit before the Christian era started. Like around 200 BCE, something around those terms. But there are many examples of this. So they knew about this geometry. As Lisa said, the cover of the book. And actually, this was the ruin or that got me started on these conical structures, but it's the Great Zimbabwe ruins in Africa. Michael Tellinger and Dr. Sam Osmanagich have taken measurements of the ionization field around this structure. And in a newsletter they put out earlier this year, they said that it was the highest that they had ever recorded. Well, a good friend sent me that newsletter along with this picture and said, does this geometry work by any chance? Is it 76,345? And I measured it, and sure enough it was. And that's how I got started looking at all of these conical structures, and led to really the whole first part of the book. But this particular ruin, archaeologists estimate that this settlement was occupied up until about 500 years ago. And then, they were saying they don't know what happened. But one of the things that they brought out in the newsletter, there was actually, there's been some research done on immune function and ionization fields and the level of ionization fields. And what it's proven is that one of the key benefits of these ionization fields is an extreme improvement in immune function. No surprise, the Russian pyramid research with this exact same geometry has extensively proved the very same point. So Anyway, here's a castle. Castles and forts around the world all share this geometry as well. And I'm going to, go out there a little bit. And when I discuss this, I'm not so sure. If you look at that example there on the right side, you see the top with the cutout, vertical cutouts at the top. We're told that that's I guess, to keep people, if they're shooting bows and arrows or muskets at each other, they could bend down behind them. I don't think that's true at all. I think, given what I now know about this geometry, its ability to produce free energy, to make coherent energy fields, I think that that could be some kind of a square wave that is used in energy and or information transmission by a society that built this with technology that we've lost. So I'm just going to throw it out there and see what people think. But when you see, once again, when you see this geometry and you begin to understand its importance, the old definitions of these being fortifications, I'm not so sure is really true. Now to some of the areas I know, Alpa, that, near and dear to you. I wanted to, this was one of the very first things that I found in my research were that the Hindu temples, these are the Southern or Dravidian style of Hindu temples contain it. The Northern Hindu style of Hindu temples have this as well. That's called the Nagara style. We're not going to go into this today, but this particular one, as well as other Nagara style temples, demonstrate that the people who built these had a profound knowledge of fractals as well. So again, all of this ancient technology, we discussed this a little last year, how was it that we believe that all this knowledge comes from Fibonacci or Plato or people from the West, when all of this knowledge actually at least can be documented back to ancient India and to the Vedas, and probably goes further back than that.
I'm glad.
Here's some Buddhist. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm just glad you mentioned that, because in India as well, there has been a diluted sense of awareness and knowledge about the Vedic wisdom, especially in the scientific context. And in speaking to my father about all of this, he actually really aligns with this and says to me that unfortunately so much has been hidden from us and hijacked. And we know that, especially in this movement. So it doesn't surprise me that this actually, aligns with everything that you're saying from the times of the Vedas. That's right.
That's right. So, there's many, we're not going to get into that today, but there's many, there's a YouTube researcher named Praveen Mohan, and he's done many videos on these ancient temples being power plants. So, as a first use. So anyway, here's another example. Here's a Buddhist stupa in Sri Lanka. There are many examples. This is just one of many examples of these that are built with a hemispherical base. And then you see this 76-345. This has got to be some sort of a resonance chamber that is, building up some, are able to extract energy or transmit it. So once again, we're seeing it there. We see it in pagodas. We see it in synagogues. We see it in mosques. This is an interesting example. This is the Great Mosque of Samarra in Iraq. Now, as we all know, Iraq used to be Babylon or Babylonia, at least in terms of biblical references. And what I found fascinating, and this is a whole chapter in the book as well, on the right, you're going to see a picture, a painting of the Tower of Babel. Well, I had seen, when I saw this, I said, well, I got to measure it. I have to measure everything now when it has something to do with history or sacred geometry. But what I found, and there's literally an entire chapter in the book, every painting from every painter from the 1500s up until the present has this slant angle inherent in their paintings of the Tower of Babel. And we're not going to go into it today in great detail, but if you think about this, there's a chapter in Genesis that talks about God saying to others, whoever he's talking to, or it is talking to, that if they are able to complete what they were doing with the Tower of Babel, then they're going to be able to do anything. And when you kind of interpret that in that Bible verse, you realize that they knew about this geometry, and it's cooked into all of these paintings. Maybe they knew this is an example of technology that we knew about before that's been taken away from us. So this is just another example. This is called a Stav church. These are found in Scandinavia. They were built around 900 CE. And these predated Gothic cathedrals by about 400 to 500 years. But here, I'm going to show you, this is perhaps for people in the West, the biggest wake-up call in terms of where have we lost this knowledge? The Gothic cathedrals were all built from about 1200 to 1500s, I believe. And I went through, as part of the research for my book, and I looked at the steeples on every single Gothic cathedral that at least is listed in Wikipedia. That seemed to be the most complete list that I could find. Approximately 90% of the steeples had some form of known sacred geometric angle. But the vast majority of them have this 76-345 geometry as well. So sacred geometry in these steeples is everywhere. And no one, to my knowledge, had done this until I actually did this. I may want to, at some point, do a more complete study of some of the other angles, 72 and 72.828, also have the golden ratio cooked into their geometry, but these are everywhere. Now, here's an example of neo-Gothic cathedrals or churches in the Washington National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. This is essentially the kind of the cathedral for the United States, so to speak, but it's owned by the Episcopal Church, and it's just amazing to me that this geometry is hiding in plain sight, and we don't know about it, even in our nation's capital. Here's an example from the Mormon Church, Salt Lake Temple in Salt Lake City. All of those temples or the steeples in that temple have this geometry. Here's an example of just an early 20th century American church steeple. All of us who have driven through rural parts of the country or even older parts of our cities will find this geometry in these old churches. But what's surprising is we don't see this being used anymore. I did a study or a search on Google and Bing for 21st century church steeples, and I went through an exhaustive list, and none of the churches have this geometry anymore. That prompted me to call some of the steeple manufacturers in the United States. Not a single steeple manufacturer in the United States makes a standard or stock steeple with this geometry anymore. So something has happened just in the last 100 years or so to get this geometry of steeple out of our churches, and it no longer exists. Here's an example of some castles. As there's a lot of thought, when you go look at these castles, there wasn't any indoor plumbing, there wasn't any heating per se. There were these large, what we would call fireplaces, but the wood was never burned in them. So how did they heat these places? How did they, there were a lot of questions. Well, what seems to have been going on here is that they were using the tops of these castles for free energy generation And at least, in my opinion, this ability to extract free energy with this geometry was used to either heat and or illuminate these castles. But anyway, people who study these on a full-time basis, if we could, once this knowledge of this geometry hopefully seeps into those disciplines, people can begin to come up with different reasons or different explanations and as to why these castles were built the way they were and how they were heated and lit. Here's an example of the San Marco bell tower. You remember earlier we saw the megaphone. All of the major bell towers around the world use this geometry because it amplifies sound. Here's a example of mystery school architecture, the Rosslyn Chapel, made popular by the Da Vinci Code. Not only is the interior of this building filled with sacred geometric principles, but you can see that we find 76,345 on the steeple or the spires, the cones, and also on this piece on the right, which is right outside the entrance to the chapel. So they knew about this as well. All of the obelisks from Egypt have this geometry as well. Here's an example of the Smithsonian Institution that has it. Harvard University, Memorial Hall. Here's an example of Ottawa City Hall in Canada. There are plenty of, Ottawa was clearly a Tartarian city. We're not going to go into Tartaria today, but there is so much examples of this ancient architecture in Ottawa. It's scary, but to see it replicated in a contemporary building is demonstrating either that they're just imitating the past. That's my feeling. I don't know that they really understood what they were building, but that's true with a lot of architects today. They're replicating, and we'll see this in Disney World, Disney theme parks as well. Broad Street Station in Philadelphia, Alpa, this was the main train station in Philadelphia, or still is, but one of them. And it had this geometry. Here's a quick example of Tartarian architecture. The Tartarian Empire, it's a whole separate topic, but it is theorized to have been a worldwide civilization that encompassed not only current day Russia, but China, India, North America, Central America, Eastern Europe, the Middle East, and possibly more. So, but this is actually St. Basil's Cathedral. We all know this as the Kremlin, if we're not, if we see this on the nightly news. But this is an old Russian Orthodox church that was made part of the Kremlin complex during the Soviet era.
I just had Nick messaged and said that, especially this subject of Tartaria, a subject close to his heart, he's saying that we should make a documentary on all this information.
I'd love to do it. You bet.
I agree. Yes.
Okay.
There's so much to talk about. There's so much. And it's just
That's
starting
right.
to get uncovered,
Yeah,
That's
and
right.
in a kind of a documentary style movie style.
Absolutely. I would love to do that.
Yeah.
So here's another sector, Egyptian hieroglyphs. These are from, this one is from the Temple of Karnak, but there are numerous examples of this geometry on obelisks and so forth. This particular hieroglyph has been translated to mean give, G-I-V-E. I would say, given what we now know about this geometric angle, that to give off or to emit might be a better translation, but something for them to think about as well with this new knowledge that we're finding out that this is associated with the golden ratio. Now, this is the Mayan calendar. If you look on the right, you can see this is the picture on the right is a blow up of these smaller pyramids over here on the calendar. So this can also be known as the Aztec sun calendar. So, but anyway, if you look at the picture on the right, and then you look at the one at the Egyptian hieroglyph, these look exactly the same. You cannot tell me that these cultures weren't in communication with each other. Moving away from that to witch hats, dunce caps, All of the witch hats in contemporary and ancient, or more medieval times, they all have this geometric angle. On the right, we see the dunce cap. This was an invention of a 13th century Franciscan monk. It was based on the witch hat, and all it did was to take off the brim, and you end up with a dunce cap. But the Catholic Church vilified the person who came up with the dunce cap. His name was John Duns Scotus, and that's why it became an object of ridicule, once again, trying to hide sacred geometry from the masses. Now, Hindu headwear as well. All of the deities, when you see these ceremonial crowns or headwear on, every single one of them has this geometry as well. So they must have used this perhaps in their day-to-day life, perhaps to help to increase their connection with their higher self or with consciousness. Some contemporary examples. There are numerous examples of this geometry in architecture around the beginning of the 20th century, but again, it dies out. The Chrysler Building was the last one. I think that was built in the 1930s that seemed to incorporate this geometry in the United States, but there's plenty of examples of it. Here's an example. Every Disney park around the world has a castle, and every one of the castles uses this geometry as well. So they're copying it. I don't know if they really know what they're doing, but it's there nonetheless. Here is perhaps one of the most important ones that we'll see today. This is a picture of Nikola Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower. Most of your audience should know about Tesla, but Tesla was a contemporary of Thomas Edison, was an intellectual, ran rings around Edison intellectually, but his knowledge of him has been suppressed. And about the only thing we hear about Tesla is the Tesla coil sometimes in high school or college physics classes, but that's about the extent of it. But as you may know, Nikola Tesla built this tower to create and transmit free energy, and not unsurprisingly, he's using this very geometry in the geometry of the tower itself. Here's an example of contemporary technology. Here's a power plant cooling tower. You'll see these towers all over the world. They cool the water that's the steam that comes off of either coal or nuclear power plants. And this is essentially a free energy device. It structures and makes the space inside coherent, which forces more air through and improves the process of the cooling for the water. Space shuttles, rocket ships, missiles, you're going to see it. The space shuttle here, Saturn I rockets, you'll see this in all the nose cones. The Sputnik spacecraft back in the 60s had this. It's in all of our spacecraft as well. SpaceX has it as well. Here's an example of it in a bullet. So it's found, so we've learned this, but what's interesting is that all of this information on a contemporary basis, sacred geometry is not taught in engineering schools. So the way that people have come to find this out in talking with engineers, audio engineers, water engineers, aerospace engineers, is they'll use water tunnels or wind tunnels or what have you, and go through a lot of effort to figure out this geometry, when in fact, if you taught sacred geometry in engineering school, I'm not going to say that takes away the total need for a wind tunnel, but you could have, saved a lot of time and wasted motion just by learning and being taught sacred geometric principles. Native Americans even knew about this because it's in the bows and arrows as well. So you'll find it as well in sailing, like a regatta sail, racing sail for a sailboat as well. Here's an example of a jet aircraft, MiG-29 aircraft that has this geometry. Submarines use it because it's the most efficient in terms of speed and creating the smallest amount of turbulence in the water. Kayaks have this geometry as well. Here's some animals that have it. Alligators have it, crocodiles, porpoises, whales. It's all in the book, but it's all there. Now, here's one that we were talking about earlier. Dr. Gallaud had mentions on pyramids.ru, which is the website of the Russian pyramid research, that a pyramid was on the Maidan in 2014 in Kiev. I knew about this, but I had never been able to find a picture of this until, and I know Nick's listening, but Nick, I found this on your on Good Lion TV. This is from Putin versus the Deep State. I believe Mr. Truthbomb did that. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I got it, I measured it, and sure enough, it did exist. And what Dr. Gallaud said, you can see this thing's kind of covered in flags and other paraphernalia, but they apparently programmed that pyramid to incite violence and riots during the coup in 2014. So this is clearly an example of how this technology can be used for evil and not just for good. But unfortunately, that's true of any sacred geometric technology that you can find. So how has this knowledge been suppressed? We talked a lot about that, when we talked a year ago, Alpa, but, the history of the Platonic solids, of sacred geometry, fractals, cymatics, the ether's disappeared. All of this is important in understanding sacred geometry, as is Fibonacci sequence, and Western mathematics. All of this has been changed or eliminated from our knowledge base to hide the fact that this knowledge has been, goes back as far as the ancient Vedas. So anyway, this is available. My book is available on Amazon in both Kindle and paperback editions. If you order pyramids or other products from our website, we do also provide a free PDF version of the book, which you can use with your Kindle reader with every order. So,
and it's a big book. It's a thick book. So it's a lot of information. The scientific research from the Russian government is in there. I mean, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and all of the pictures, many pictures that we didn't go through today. So and my own original research, I should say, that proves mathematically why the energy fields created by this geometry are so profound. So if you're interested in more information, you can come to our website that Lisa and I maintain, Pyramid Science Foundation. Here's just some of our recent stuff. We were interviewing some folks in the last few weeks, and Louis Herms was one, and
this was on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, on our YouTube. Yeah. And then if you look below 76,345, you see that I have begun doing a series. I'm going into much greater detail on each of these topics. So it's going to be an 8 to 10 part series on the book, and I've got the first two already finished, and they're up and available for viewing. So if you're interested in our products, you can use the discount code Alpa Soni 10 to receive 10% off your orders on StargatePyramids.com. Again, Lisa and I set up a nonprofit, the Pyramid Science Foundation, and we do research, and she's going to be talking about some of that here in a few minutes. So if you want to contact me, it's Charlie at Stargate Pyramids. Sorry, Lisa, I forgot to put yours on here. Lisa, it would be Lisa at Stargate Pyramids. So if you want to get in touch with Lisa, that's the way to do it. So that's it. I'm going to stop for now, and we can discuss. We can, Lisa, I know you've got lots that you want to talk about as well, so I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, before you go on, thank you so much for that, Charlie. I just want to feed back to both of you the lovely comments of fascination from our audience and everyone who's watching. Thank you for watching this far and giving such lovely feedback. So many ideas flowing in for Nick as well. He's up for doing this this documentary with you. And yeah, he said that it was from Mr. Truth Bomb, the picture that you got. So again, the creative minds are all kind of collaborating, and I know he's got so many ideas about this subject. It is fascinating. And again, taking it back to the beginning of the conversation about, we need to have an open mind about everything that we learn, because we know that so much information, hidden knowledge has been kept from us. So with people like yourself, I say in gratitude, Charlie, that this extensive research to really draw parallels to everything that you've discussed in your presentation, it's absolutely fascinating. And those are the words that are coming out from our group chat. So it's deeply respected. So thank you for that. And all the information, just a quick note, just a few house notes. If you could like, subscribe, follow Charlie on his YouTube. I will have everything on the description below. But yeah, follow him on his channel, and of course benefit from the pyramids. I have to say that, you know, it's definitely worth trying it out for sure. Whenever I use Nick's one, unfortunately I don't use it every single day, but whenever I have, there is a real profound energy, and Lisa's going to talk a little bit more to that shortly. But do check everything that Charlie's doing. And Charlie, really congratulations for this book.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I know you've been working really, really hard on this. And the last time that we spoke, it was kind of the wheels were in motion. So I'd like to acknowledge that, and again say thank you for what this level of information that you're putting out there. And there are a lot of people that will appreciate this. So thank you. So Lisa's got some things that she wants to share with us. And I have to say, acknowledge Lisa. Lisa is one of the sweetest, kindest individuals I personally know. She's a very dear friend of mine. She sent me this as her friend, just from her intuitive compass. She didn't know me very well then as well, which is why I say, like, people I've met on this journey are phenomenal, and that doing their bit to help humanity in the most silent but kindred of ways. And I've been very fortunate to benefit from some of the beautiful things, experiences I've had with you, Lisa. She's working selflessly for the Truth Tour as well. She should be there. Both Charlie and Lisa are going to be there. Are you going to go to Florida onwards, both of you, or are you actually on? Are you doing remote conversations, talks, etc., online at the Truth Tour of Lewis's?
We were both in the Truthathon originally. I'm going to be actually in Lakewood, New Jersey next Sunday on the Truth Tour. I'll be giving a talk there. I'm waiting to hear back if they need another speaker on either side of that. So, you know, I will be doing at least one speech next week on the tour.
Yeah, we endeavored to try one of them, but which one yet we're yet to decide. But yeah, this is great stuff, and I think people will really appreciate all this information, because it's, you know, that we can just get so drained with political conversations, and it's now just let's find out the right things that happen in history. And the research that you've put out there is great. So Lisa, I'm excited to hear what you have to say. Didn't mean to put you on this party there.
No, not at all. Thank you so much. I'm so blessed to have you in my life and to be on this journey with so many amazing souls. You know, when Charlie and I were on the first Truth Tour together, I was just like, I don't know how the heck I got here, but I'm just so honored to be here, you know, because I'm a nobody. That's what I felt, you know, I'm just a little person. I shouldn't say nobody, I'm just a little person, you know, in my mind. But it really shows how many people don't have the time to do this stuff. And the only reason that I had the time to step aside and research is because I was brave and quit my job a few years ago, because I didn't resonate with it anymore and what was going on. And it was scary for me, but it opened up time for me to actually, for the first time in my life, to focus on things that I love to do. And, you know, even like I volunteered to help the Truth Tour with their social media marketing and stuff, because I knew that it would enhance the reach. And it truly did. You know, I've been telling them to make a TikTok for the past couple months, and I made one for them, just posted 6 videos, and it exploded. So we have like 44,000 views on our page, I believe. And like one video has over 270,000 views, and it's just reaching a different
Audience.
Yes, totally different audience, the younger generation who's really into this. So it's so important to share this stuff. You know, even if you think you're a little person and you're meaningless, to share, just share something when you find it. It might reach one person, but you're helping spread the awareness. And that's the biggest thing right now, to share the truth.
That initiative was just brilliant, you know, for the Truth Tour, and targeting an audience that we forget about. The younger audience. TikTok is predominantly used by everyone, but I mean, I don't use TikTok. I can't keep up. Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Truth Social, Twitter, just drive anyone bonkers. But we want to reach as many different audiences. And I find that the younger generation, especially my teenage niece, speak to her and she's oblivious to conversations that really matter. And it's just the social media habits that teenagers have doesn't reside in researching about our true history, which, you know, is disappointing. And it's sad what social media has done to the younger generation.
Oh, for sure. It's promoting pedophilia and perversions. That's literally all it does. You know, that's why I never got TikTok in the first place, because I thought that's all it was young girls shaking their butts, you know. But my daughter started sending me things on spirituality and crystals and meditation. And I was like, well, there's a whole another side of this, you know, and that's what I was seeking, and I found it. So,
yeah, well, hopefully it reaches the audience that it's meant to. And like we've said, that's the intention. Want to get as much information about things and subjects like this out there. So yeah, thanks, Lisa.
Yeah, thank you. But I just want to touch real quick on a few different things. You know, Charlie has been focusing on, and myself, on the Russian geometry, pyramid. That's what I'm sitting in now. It's way more powerful than the regular typical meditation pyramid. And the reason being is the steeper the angle, the more power it's going to have, the quicker the connection to source it's going to have. I like to tell people the Giza pyramid is kind of like the dial-up connection, and the Russian is the high-speed internet. You know, it's just going to connect you immediately, but your intention has to be pure when you're using it, because it is powered by your intention. It's an amplifier of energy. So if you sit inside of it planning to meditate yourself out of a bad mood, you already are feeling those negative energies, and you're going to be focusing and amplifying, because it's an amplifier of energy as well. You'll be amplifying those negative energies and those negative thoughts, and you're going to feel worse than when you sat in it in the first place. So you have to be mindful of your thoughts when you are using it. It is a very, very powerful tool. When you're manifesting with it, figure out what you want to manifest, you know, before you sit inside of it. And you want to make yourself feel like it's already happening, make yourself know that it's already true, and you're going to sit inside, and it's going to be like jumping ahead of the line, placing your order, you know, just jumping ahead of the line and placing your order. It's going to be instantaneous for your manifestations. It's crazy. It's literally crazy. You know, I have a bunch of different manifestation stories. I'm not going to share any right now, but it's a powerful tool for sure.
At least share one.
Okay. Well, this is my best one, actually. But so when Charlie and I, a couple of years ago, we were going to all these expos. We had like 3 different expos in 1 month one time. So I would come home and I'd work all week making pyramids just to get ready for the next show. And I came home one time and I was like, I don't have any pyramids of my own inside my house, you know. And at the time I was with my ex, and we had been together for 12 years. Most of them miserable, you know, but we were at the point where for the past several years, we had just kind of become roommates. You know, I always joked that he was just my maintenance man. And you know, but anytime I would bring up our relationship to him, he was just so attached he didn't want to leave. So he would get angry. He'd threaten to burn the house down or threaten this or threaten that, because he just didn't want to talk about it. He didn't want to deal with it. But I knew that he knew that it wasn't working out. So I come back from one of these expos. I go and grab my pyramids. I sit them on my desk in my living room, and I'm looking around my living room, and I envision myself taking all the pictures of us off of the wall and putting them up in the attic with the backs facing the wall, so nobody, or the face facing the wall, so nobody can see them. And in my mind, all of a sudden I heard, he'll never leave unless he has a girlfriend. And so I said, find him a girlfriend in my mind. Okay. Well, I completely forgot I did this.
Did you have a vision of how she looked and everything?
Yeah. All I said was find him a girlfriend. So because he was the type that needed cared for, he needed somebody to take care of him. And that's what he didn't want to lose. He didn't want to lose the home cooked meals or somebody doing his laundry or somebody taking care of him, and anybody would love to have that too, but I wanted love. And I knew that I was punishing myself by still continuing to be in this relationship. So anyway, I said, I was finding my happiness by doing the pyramids and talking at these expos on the things that I love to do. And, he was glad that I found my happiness, but we were just totally opposites anymore. It scared him. This stuff scared him. He didn't want to know anything about it. So yeah. I came home from one of the expos. This was a few weeks after I had, asked for spirit to find him a girlfriend. And all of a sudden I was thinking, I'm going to just text him. He's at work and see, maybe we can talk about our relationship. So I said, obviously our relationship has fizzled. Can we talk about it when you come home? And he immediately responded, yes, let's talk. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, that's not like him. He'll probably jump on the lawnmower when he comes home and ignore me, so that's what he would do. So he came right home, sat in the recliner chair right beside me and was talking. We were talking to each other like you and I are talking to each other. And it didn't dawn on me. I was thinking after the conversation, we both mutually agreed, yes, we should separate. And he even said after that, he's like, I think I like you more now than I did 5 minutes ago when we were together. I was like, you're an idiot, But
did you say
it wasn't dawning on me. I was thinking, well, I'm proud of him. Maybe he's growing up, he was really doing the adult thing. And finally we could agree on something. And the day after he moved out, I had a dream, and it was that he had a girlfriend, and it was this specific girl that he was working with. The next night I had a similar dream. It was a different dream, but same outcome. He had a girlfriend, and it was this girl he worked with 3 nights in a row. I had another dream. So I messaged him, I texted him, I said, do you have a girlfriend? Because he told me he was moving out with his friend. He didn't tell me he had a girlfriend. And I said, do you have a girlfriend? Because I keep having a dream that you have a girlfriend. And of course that freaked
what he was thinking though when you asked him that.
Of course that freaked him out because he doesn't like that stuff. But yeah. Yeah. But I was like, do you have a girlfriend? And he didn't respond. So I knew it was the truth. And I said, you better respect me enough to tell me the truth. And he finally admitted, yeah, I'm so sorry. I hurt you enough already. I didn't want it. We were kind of keeping it under, on low key. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, he's punishing himself because it's everything that he didn't want, but he's just jumping into something else so he won't be alone, but I couldn't get mad. I just laughed about it because I was like, I asked for him to find a girlfriend. Yeah. And he would still be with me. I would still be miserable if this hadn't happened. Wow. And I knew it was because I manifested this. And it's so easy. You don't have to focus on it your entire life. You don't have to have a vision board. Once you place that order, it's out there in the universe. It is fueled by your intention. And you need to make sure that your intention is pure and that you know exactly what you want for the outcome,
Yeah, well, manifesting is that where you have no attachment to the outcome. But our minds are so busy and we have so many thoughts that are going through, fueled by a variety of things, our fears, our hopes, our dreams, our this, our that. And essentially, what signals are we giving out to the universe? And I have learned within myself that when I start feeling something, especially in my sacral chakra, it's like a warning sign for me to saying, right, what is going on with your physiology, with your sort of spiritual reverberations, and what's going on with you in the mind. And sometimes without having to realize what's going on with me, I manifest things that I don't want. And it's really important that we're speaking about this before we continue with what you're saying, because we have to kind of truly encompass how energy works. And I make no claims of being an expert on anything. I love these kind of conversations. I love inviting people to have these conversations. It's, you know, for the benefit of just opening our eyes to different ways of thinking, and then we can draw our own conclusions. But I have learned in my own journey, especially here. Hello, Charlie. Charlie keeps disappearing.
Yeah, his internet's bad right now.
Yeah, one of those that leaves the party to sort of like recalibrate and then come back. I do that all the time. I have to, like, I get so overwhelmed in crowds. But yeah, so I think thoughts become things. So what are we thinking? How are we thinking? And be careful what you ask for, as they say. So yeah, thanks for sharing that, Lisa.
Yes, well, you're welcome. But that, you were definitely true. You know, our thoughts, our feelings, and emotions are some of the most powerful forms of energy. Mm-hmm. And it's hard when we've been trained to gravitate towards fear our entire lives. It's so hard to just switch that mentality. But that it's easy too, you know, because that's as simple as it is. To change your life, you have to change your mind. There's a Dr. Amen, I believe, gives a seminar and teaches people that all the time, that it is that simple. You need to change your thought perspective. You know, most of us aren't living right in the now. Right now is the only time that we're alive, that we're actually experiencing life. Most of us are worrying about things that are going to happen, that could possibly happen in the future. And when we do that, we're manifesting them to actually happen to us, because we're focusing on the negative and the worry instead of the good outcome. You know, it hasn't happened yet. So why not just switch that thought and make it a good outcome instead? You know, it's just as easy, you know, but it is hard. It is hard to overcome our thoughts, feelings, and emotions, because we've grown up our whole entire lives not knowing any of this stuff and focusing on the fear.
Yeah, so we have been consciously programmed in the fear, what I call the fear porn paradigm and programming. And we have to have the ability and the awareness ourselves to actually pick up and think, where am I thinking these negative thoughts from? Where do they come from? What in my programming has brought me to think this? In my social conditioning, my social programming, where are these fears coming up? Fear of loss, fear of death, fear of not being successful, all these various fears. We have them all, with whether we realize it or not. And we've come to a time in humanity now where we have so much opportunity to spiritually grow. And as at the best of times, you know, Lisa, being my good friend, you know, we all go through these roller coaster of emotions. It's just how we stay still in those and to realize what's going on at a deep level. Charlie,
it's also to teach us the lessons. You know, we have to experience bad things in our lives because they teach us the most powerful lessons. They teach us how to heal. They teach us how to help others to heal from those situations. So yes, we've all suffered from traumatizing things, but they have a purpose. You know, I used to, not the ex I was talking about, but another, I used to call myself a loser magnet when I was younger, because I just, my kids' dad, he was just crazy. He'd be holding a knife against my throat one minute saying he was going to kill me. The next minute he'd be on his hands and knees begging for forgiveness. And I used to focus and dwell on that all the time. You know, why am I such a loser magnet? Why am I such a loser magnet? And that was just drawing more of those same people to me. Once I realized that, you know, he made me stronger. He made me be able to stand up for myself. You know, he made me be able to be the person I am now. But then I appreciated that situation.
Everyone in your life comes as a teacher, the good, bad, and ugly, and all our experiences certainly help us evolve. So we have to decide. I said on my show earlier on, we have a choice every single moment of every single day, what and how we feel. No one else does. We decide, we choose. We have to have those real eyes to realize what's going on internally. I can't help you out there, or you or anyone there, because the only thing that I know what's going on is what's going on inside of me, and I can control that. So it's having and being in that state of balance all the time. Mm-hmm. And and deciding and making the choice that I'm not going to be in that victim consciousness. That's what I was taught. That was my programming, lack-based mentality. If we look at this movement and the divide and conquer programming that's going on even now, and it's been going on for eons. This is what they try to do, keep us so distracted that we're just constantly involved in thinking of, who's got this, who's got that, the divide in humanity, that we forget to go dig deep with what's going on inside of us. So this manifestation, we've got so many books and so many courses that are out there, but the energy that goes on, we have that intuitive compass that has been so desensitized for us to realize. So we could go on and on about this. Let's go back to
for sure. Well, let me just talk on the intuition real quick, because like you said, it is hard to tap into that for a lot of people now. And it's because we have been not taught about this stuff in the first place and told to fear of it, to fear it, not to, that we're communicating with demons or whatnot. But our intuition is our internal guidance. It's there for a reason. And most of us, we don't even hear it anymore because, we've just been ignoring it for so long that it's just a very soft voice now, but it is still there. And the way that you can hear it is by starting to listen to it again. I always tell people it's easy. That very first thing that pops into your head is always the truth. It is literally always the truth. But that's when our ego jumps in and says, oh, well, it can't be that answer because we experienced this in our life before, so it must be this answer. And we usually choose the ego-based answer. And then we're smacking ourselves later. So I knew it. I should have chose that answer. And once you start listening to it and trusting it, and you're going to hear it stronger and stronger, you're going to get more and more guidance. And that's what it's for.
And one more thing that you said, is why am I continuously getting the same kind of loser type people coming into my life, or whatever experiences that you've had there, that there is a reason, because it's actually because of yourself inside. It's that fear, it's that programming. 90% of our consciousness is based in the subconscious, and it's that programming that is actually, so you may not be actually aware of it in the conscious state. And it took me a long time, because I've had similar experiences too. And then you'll get a situation which will actually test you and say, have you truly healed from all these experiences? And it will bring you people, situations, circumstances that will then re-invite that type of those type of situations to test you and tweak you and say, how are you going to be in this situation? Because it's very similar to all the things that you face. Have you truly healed? So life is progressive growth. We're always healing. We're always experiencing through people, and people experiences, places can be our greatest teachers if we allow it to, in the positive, in that balanced state. And as soon as we neutralize those charges of those wounds, those traumas, things, you'll find that dissipates very quickly.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why spiritual work is so important, because we're working on ourselves. We're healing these traumas. And a lot of the times we're born with these traumas embedded in us. There was a scientist that did a study with mice. Okay. Every time they would introduce the smell of apple blossoms, or no, I'm sorry, it was cherry blossoms, to these mice, they would electrocute them. They would zap them with electricity. So all these mice were terrified of the smell of cherry blossoms because they knew they were going to get electrocuted. Well, the next generation of mice were never even exposed to electrocution, but they instinctively were terrified every time they would smell cherry blossoms. And that shows how deep traumas in our lineage affect us as well. Breast cancer runs high in my family, and there's a reason. We can go back in our lineage and feel and figure out where the trauma began and heal it, and heal our entire lineage. That's how powerful this work is. And people need to start realizing that, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, there's a Bible verse, and I can't say it exactly, but it says essentially the sins of the father will visit the sins of the children for 7 generations, or something to that effect. And that's it. I mean, we just don't have any conception of all of these things that we need to deal with, and until they confront us, and that's our golden opportunity. I've had plenty of them. I was a wreck 10 years ago. And I dealt with the issues I had to deal with, and now I'm on a new path and enjoying life tremendously. But yeah, you have to confront this stuff, and you don't even know it exists. That's the scary part.
And
You
I'm so
don't.
grateful for both of you sharing that, because it's so important, but the audience will really appreciate it too, because we're on that time now of, I call it poetic vulnerability, because it's a beautiful thing to be vulnerable, and help others. Your story can really help someone, whether it's helping their life, helping them in their path, helping them to see through things through a different lens. Those nuggets of wisdom, your story. And this is what you were saying with the TikTok, you're sharing information. What's the intention? The intention's to help people get awareness about this tour, or whatever information that we're putting out on our social media has to be conscious, because we want to be consciously putting information out there that has benefits for the highest good. So it's informative. So even if we are sharing information that's not easy to hear, not easy to learn, as like, say, for example, the children's subject, but it's information that's necessary for the world to have, the realizes that behind all of this, what is it that's going on? Why are we going through this camaraderie in the world? So at the root, when we go to the root of everything, and this is where your research has been so valuable, you've gone to like the root of so many different examples, so you can draw these comparisons, and then people can benefit from that research. So it's so deep and it's so important, but people can meet you as far as they've met themselves, and how far they want to go in these teachings, in these learnings, in their own self-development and their spiritual development. But yeah, I believe you have a presentation, Lisa, as well.
We kind of got off track, but it was important. People need to hear this stuff.
No, but it's divinely done, I say, because I don't plan my shows. I know my guests have presentations, etc. But I like to have a conversation as if I am with friends, and then you are my friends. But even the audience as well, they appreciate this sort of stuff. So yeah.
So Charlie was talking a lot about the Russian pyramid, and I'm going to focus on some of the research that the Russian scientists, the Russian government specifically, for the past 20 or 30 years has been focusing on this geometry pyramid and building them all over Russia. One of them, I believe, is 144 feet tall.
Well,
and
44 meters, give or take. Yeah.
144 feet tall, and they've been doing all kinds of amazing experiments with it. People will go inside, get spontaneously healed. But they did one profound study. This one is the most profound, I believe. They had a group of about 20 premature babies, and they were all so premature that they were all expected to die. They had water sitting inside the pyramid charging, and that water was absorbing the pyramid energy. They put that in the IVs of the babies, and every one of those babies lived. Every one of them. They've done experiments with charging things like salt inside of the pyramid and putting those salt in the shakers inside of prisons. And the prisoners all became more docile and more receptive to retraining. So just amazing results. Charlie touched on plants, doing plant experiments. One thing they discovered was outside of the pyramid, they saw plants growing that they hadn't recognized. They analyzed them and they went extinct 11,000 years ago. Like they are, just a crazy thing. Yeah. They'll put let's say supplements inside of the pyramid and let them charge. It'll increase the potency by the supplements by about 1,000%, up to 1,000%. And but it does the opposite with toxins. They'll put toxins inside the pyramid, and it will actually eliminate the toxic effect of the toxin. And I know Nick, he commented and said that when he smokes weed, he smoked too much one time and had he just commented on this post a little bit ago, and he said he just went and grabbed his pyramid and it helped release that energy. And that's what it does.
With that, for his creativity.
So
It's a transformer of energy. So it's going to transform. It's an amplifier, you know, but it's about the intention that's behind as well. Another thing that it does is if you put crystals inside of the pyramid, it actually realigns the structure of the crystal. So any dirt or debris that's inside the crystal will fall out and it will make the crystal more pure.
Oh, wow.
And so I like to use that as an example because obviously that's what it's doing for us. Yeah. So like the capstone that you have right there in front of you, Alpa.
This is one of the plates you gave me. So I keep my
Yeah.
there. So it's sort of like the power plate.
Yep.
And the tiger actually sits in there. I have a tiger's eye. I sleep next to this. So I sleep next to both the my just crystals. I don't have my phone near me.
Very
And
nice.
all electricals out. And then this sleeps right next to me. I had a beautiful one that Lisa spontaneously made for me. And unfortunately, just before my show, my elbow whacked it and it fell on the floor.
That must mean that you need another one. So I'll make you another.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
We actually, any of the idols that we have or statues, there's a thing that my mom tells me is that anytime a statue or anything of a spiritual nature breaks or even gets a crack, which in Sanskrit means kandit, yeah, that's what you say, it's gone, it loses its energy, we cannot keep it in the house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
Yes, any of like once like I did another Alpa special and broke one of her favorite Ganesh statues, and again just tripped over and everything just fell. And she said, "Oh, you can't keep it in the house." You know, I tried to super glue it and everything, and she said, "This the crack. It confuses like the energy or something like that." It just went over my head at that time, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah,
For sure.
Yeah.
So, well, let me touch on a couple other things. So we talked about the manifestation power of the pyramids, but meditation. If you're a meditator, you're going to find you'll have more powerful meditations when you utilize the Russian geometry pyramid. You know, you're connecting to source a lot faster. You're connecting immediately. So you're going to get more messages when you're meditating, and it's going to be more instantaneous and easier for you to meditate. Also with healing, you know, everybody experiences different things. And like we said before, it's all powered by your intention. But if you just sit inside it and envision yourself the healthiest that you've ever been in your life, don't focus on the illness. Okay. Just envision yourself healthy and happy and free and loving life. And that's going to empower the healing to happen for you, because you're going to be connecting to source. You're going to be connecting to your higher self, who's like, hey, our body was designed to heal itself. We know how to do this. So listen up. It is time to go. And we're going to start healing. You'll feel tingles in your body in areas that you've been experiencing pain. And that's going to tell you that it's working in those areas.
I think it's like think yourself to health.
Yeah.
And that's, it has to be a collective effort, mind, body, and soul. So, you know, what words are we using? So I am ill, I'm feeling this, I am, anything after the I am, you'll get more of. So I always try to say,
That's right.
I need more health. So I'm already confirming to the universe that I have health, I am healthy. And it's that mindset. So you're just asking for more, because the universal answer is usually just yes, right?
Yeah.
Whatever
That's
is
it.
and however we're asking and in which way. It took me a while to figure that out, because we can all get stuck in our stories. Have we been taught the tools? And this is where it all boils down to. So we can't be hard on ourselves, but once we actually gain this kind of information from the sharing and conversations like this, is to change and make that choice to turn our energy and frequency around for the better and more positive.
Yeah. I always say, oh, go ahead, Charlie.
No, I was just going to just point out that, I mean, I think affirmations are a wonderful thing to do inside the pyramid. I belong to a metaphysical church in the US. There's a number, Unity. There was something called Church of Religious Science, now called Centers for Spiritual Living. There's a number of groups like that, and I don't know if there are any in Europe like that, but you know, you learn affirmations will ultimately also reprogram your subconscious mind, and that, but just doing it inside the pyramid, again, we haven't talked about coherence, and I want to do that before we finish today, Lisa, but it's just such a powerful tool. So anyway, didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me show you guys a little bit of the research that I've been doing. So the first thing, can I screen share real quick, Alpa?
Yep. I have given permission. No. Yep. You've got permission. Are you snoring, Kenzo? Yeah, Kenzo snoring.
I can't hear.
No.
Okay, so this is a little presentation. Hold on a second here, let me make it bigger. This is a little presentation that I put together with a live blood analysis that I've been doing. So live blood analysis, if nobody knows about that, you actually just take a prick of blood from your finger, put it on, put it underneath a dark field microscope. It has to be a dark field microscope, and you can see your blood moving in real time.
Oh, and look at the numerology 4222. This number I've seen all day.
Oh, very nice. Good catch there. So Charlie and I, like I said, we've organized the Pyramid Science Foundation specifically for our research. And so live blood microscopy uses a high resolution dark field microscope to observe living blood. Through this process, immediate results can be observed. So blood cells can live for 20 minutes. And during this time, a video camera will record the magnified blood cells as the changes occur. Okay, and if you look on the left here, under the microscope, this is what healthy red blood cells should look like. Okay, it means your body is alkaline and you're hydrated, you're healthy. On the right, this is one example of unhealthy red blood cells. Okay, they're all misshapen. These ones look like donuts, and there's so many different causes that can cause misshapen. Okay.
I'd love to see what mine look like.
Yeah, I do it all the time. My fingers get sore.
Yeah.
So this is the experiment. So I actually took some blood from someone with no known health issues. And so when you look at the blood in a little bit here, the red blood cells are actually stuck together, which is called rouleauing. The red blood cells cannot enter the arteries and veins when they are rouleaued because, they are designed for single cells of red blood to go through the arteries and veins. When they're all stuck together, they can't go through it efficiently. So it creates low oxygen levels and fatigue, disease starts occurring. Typical causes of rouleauing is like electrical magnetic frequencies, radiation, cell phone towers, things like that. So you can see where they're all like stuck together and they're kind of sluggish. They're not moving that fast. And then you'll even be able to see one of the white blood cells, which is the right up here. It's not moving very fast. They should be twinkling really fast and moving around and trying to clean up these red blood cells, but it wasn't moving very fast. So I make colloidal silver, and I actually put some inside of my pyramid on the floor and just let it charge in a jug, okay? And I also do that with just water as well, like the Russian scientists did. We saw how powerful it worked for the babies. It saved all of their lives, just by them ingesting some of that pyramid water. So what I did is I have inside my 6-foot Russian, my Stargate meditation pyramid, I had the colloidal silver in here charging for 2 days. And then I had the water that was sitting in here for 7 weeks. So this subject was me, by the way. So all I did was I took a shot of the colloidal silver, at about 1 ounce, and then I drank 6 ounces of the pyramid charged water. And you're going to see this is immediately after drinking that, probably 5 minutes by the time I had taken the blood and put it under the microscope. But you can see how it immediately separated all the red blood cells.
Wow.
And how they're moving faster. Right there, you can see with your own eyes how the pyramid energy affects your health.
Awesome.
And then there's a white blood cell right here, which it's a little washed out, but
Yeah.
you can see, if you look at it up close, you can see that it's working even better than that first one that we saw.
Right.
So, and mainly the conclusion is the energy of the Russian pyramid with an angle of 76.345 degrees enhances oxygenation and alkalinity of blood. So, which in turn will improve your health drastically. But we've been doing more in-depth studies and things like that as well. So we'll have more to present through the Pyramid Science Foundation, and we'll report those findings on our YouTube channel.
Yeah. I might just mention one thing that I haven't even had a chance to talk to Lisa about this, but I have purchased a Geiger counter. And so one of the things that also comes up in the research is that they were able to take water and other substances that were radioactive and get rid of the radioactivity through the pyramid exposure. So I'm going to start some experiments with that. In fact, I think it's coming tonight. So I hope to start doing that in the near future. So if I get some good results on that, I'll report that back to you, Alpa. So.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome.
So,
And look at this. Oh,
Okay,
fantastic.
So
Yeah.
We just got, so through the Pyramid Science Foundation, with the funding that we received, we were able to purchase a BioWell GDV camera. So it's kind of like Kirlian photography on steroids. It's way more powerful and you can do way more things with it. Now this is a test that I did with the BioWell. It's similar kind of like muscle testing, okay? But this analyzes your entire biofield, which is what you can see here. Let me move this out of the way. So the one on the left was the initial reading, and you can see where the areas that jut out and the areas that sink in are off. They should all be more of an even, kind of like this up top here. They should be more and even like that. So the first initial reading, if you look up top here, it says the energy was 53 joules. So this is the biofield energy of the person, was at 53 joules, and the balance of their energy, which you want to be at close to 100% as possible, was 92%. So after the testing, and what all I did was hold on to a gallon of pyramid water that has been sitting inside of the pyramid for 4.5 months, literally just holding on to it, because now that energy is in your biofield. So you can tell if you're going to be allergic to things, or if something's good for you, or if something's bad for you, just by holding on to it and testing your energy again. So that's what I did. And the energy, just by holding on to it, not drinking it or ingesting it, just by holding on to it, went up to 55 joules from 53, and the balance went up to 99%. So you can see by the outline of the biofield here, the after, how it sucked in those energies, and made it more even all around. And going down here a little bit, this is a balanced view, just another view on how we can look at this. And you can see all these areas are areas of unbalance in your body. And this was before holding on to the water. Like number 4 is the pancreas, showing that the pancreas is unbalanced. The spine, or no, not the spine, where is it? The sacrum, which is 12. So each one of these is an unbalance in the body. And this was before. Now this is the after. There's still some unbalance, but just holding on to that pyramid water showed it decreased the unbalances in your body. So it's actually balancing, which we showed with the biofield at the top here, where it went from 92% to 99%. So we're seeing some real profound, results with our testings. So, and we plan to share way more of these as we get more in depth with them.
Yeah, I'd like to.
I'd like to.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Charlie.
I was just going to say.
Oh, where did he go? They seem to want to.
I am starting to develop a theory that the reason why health is improved so much by being exposed to the pyramid energy fields is because they make our aura coherent. I think coherence is actually of these energy fields, as Lisa said, there's very, there aren't any places where it's easy to puncture through that energy field once the coherent field is subsumed by the body from the pyramid. So and from again, there's a chapter in there about harmonics. I'm not going to try to explain it except through an analogy. I'm sure both of you are familiar with Bose earphones that reduce, cancel noise and so forth. Well, that's done by creating a phase of the identical wave, which is 1/2 cycle off. I don't know if, just quickly, if you have two sound waves and they come together, they're going to add just like anything else. But if one is at -1 and one's at -1, they're going to zero out to zero. But if they are both at the top of the peak at the same time, you're going to get a sum of 1 and 1 or 2. And so that's exactly, in short verse, what this geometry does. It's the three-dimensional optimal structure for creating this positive coherent field because it forces all of these waves to come together at exactly the same point as they go through the pyramid. So that's the answer in short verse.
And that's similar with the crystals as well, and the capstones and the pyramid energy. If you have a higher vibration and a lower vibration and they come together, us being the lower vibration, the higher vibration being our energy tools, they're going to balance each other out. They have to balance each other out and bring each other into balance. And that's what we're looking at here. You want to be in balance. The light, people talk about the light and the dark. Well, we all have darkness inside of us. I don't care how light you think you are, you have darkness inside you as well. And we just need to learn to deal with it and balance that. That's where we're going to find peace, is in the balance.
And we tend to live in polarities, this bipolar way of being. But we have to try and achieve that sense of inner balance within. Is this the last slide?
That is, yep. Let me stop sharing this real quick. One other thing I just wanted to touch on real quick with the research and the pyramid energy and stuff is there's a Russian scientist, Grebennikov, and he actually designed a flying machine. And it was designed by it was kind of like a levitation machine. That's how he designed it. And it was designed from the under wings of a beetle. And underneath those beetles' wings were little pyramids in the same geometry as the Russian pyramid, the 76.345 degrees, like hundreds of these little pyramid shapes. And, so that obviously that shows you that there's power to it. Nobody could ever figure out the secret of his machine, but he designed it off of the beetles' wings, which had the mini pyramids underneath there.
Wow.
That's right.
Wow. And you know what? I'd actually want to, I'm going to speak a little bit about Ari in a second. The topical that we've introduced, both Nick and myself, to help people with autism, and the actual detox. Ari detox is for everybody, to detox heavy metals from the brain. It'll be interesting, Lisa, I'll send some out to you to see how, to both of you, to see how this will be under the pyramid. I'd actually like you to try this out, both of you. I'll send you both of you the detox and just see how you get on with that, because there's so much that you have shared with us today, and just if we were to surmise it in a short paragraph, it's like put whatever you want, like your supplements, your water. I know Nick works with a lot of things in the pyramid, just testing things out, and he just feels a higher sense of frequency. So he can attest to that better than myself, but and I'm going to get my in this the small one, so I can have it in the house, because the other one's just really tall, the one that you sent me, Charlie. But
Okay.
I do want to experiment more as I'm going deeper into a different way of meditation at the moment. So of course we can use this all there's tools to facilitate high levels of consciousness, depends where we're at. And of course, the stuff that you're saying with water, with our supplements, I mean, I'd love to test out the detox with Ari myself, having put it in the pyramid. So Everyone, just a quick mention. Today, I've just launched a special for October, and that's for Good Lion. Anyone who buys a yearly, just put in all capitals October 20 to get 20% off the yearly membership. And I'll just show you that shortly just to see what's going on with Good Lion. And if you're watching this on Stargate today, Stargate, the Pyramid Foundation, everyone who purchases RE again will get 10% off using the code all in capitals Stargate 10. So I just want to take you very quickly, share screen, and show you where we're all at with Good Lion. So Nick has changed the front page just to show you what it looks like, what we've got going on here in Good Lion. Loads and loads of red pill documentaries that you'll find here. And then of course we've got RE. Now RE is also on our website, www.rebrand.com. But if we just go here, this is for your audience, Charlie and Lisa. You see this? What's going on here? Why can't I scroll up and down? Here we go. So if you don't mind, we can just, I know people who have probably seen this a few times, but
teamed up with a Good Lion has teamed up with a small family business to bring you a topical that's been proven to detoxify the brain of heavy metals, poisons, and other toxins, all of which, when detoxed, make way for optimal brain function. RE is an herbal formulation for anyone needing to detox, and specifically for anyone with autism. RE has not only been freeing those with autism, but also those taking care of loved ones with it. Caretakers can breathe again, and autistic behaviors dissipate. This formulation is an herbal blend which is produced in small batches, containing only the cleanest and most vibrant ingredients. Because the individual ingredients are uniquely extracted, gently and naturally by the sun, they can be absorbed directly into the bloodstream within seconds via the soles of the feet or the navel. This method avoids the digestive tract and has proven more effective than pills or capsules. This is a two-step program requiring a 12-day detox first, which helps eliminate any heavy metals and toxins accumulated in the brain. This is then followed by autism support and is recommended to use for as long as results are desired. The formulation contains no chemicals, CO2, or solvents, ensuring that it's pure and natural. Are you treating with RE?
so if everyone just takes a look at the site where we go, you can see Stargate Pyramids as well on Nick's site. And I would implore everyone to see this testimonial. If you don't mind, I just want to share this because this one is very special. We've had great responses from mothers who've written into us and have had profound improvements with their children from the ages of 4. This gentleman speaks to about the experience his 18-year-old son had. So we'll just share that shortly. But
Absolutely.
Just with regards to RE and where we're at, it's been a very soft, organic launch, more word of mouth. I haven't done many shows, just done a few, because I'm sort of having a stage-based approach to this because I want feedback. I want people to write in, and we've had really positive feedback this far. And the only negative that we had once was by mistake, an empty bottle was sent. It's just one. And that can happen, and it happened in Mercury retrograde. So the lovely couple that make this topical is actually based on an Ayurvedic practice called Bejoti, which is put in through the navel. So you can put a lot of different oils, Ayurvedic oils, into the stomach, or the sole of the foot. And then this gets absorbed quicker. Now, with autistic children, this is very ideal because they don't like taking anything through the mouth. So this has been very good for younger children. But what I really loved about this gentleman is he talks to us about his 18-year-old son. So I'm just going to play this.
So my name's Tim, and I have an 18-year-old son with autism, and he's a great kid. He's really shy. Some of the things that the tendencies that he has, and with a lot of autistic children, is he wants to be by himself. He chooses not to have friends. He doesn't really want to play games or do a lot of stuff with other people. He's got a younger brother who's 17 and a younger sister that is 14 years old. And over the last 18 years, we've there's something that's not quite right with him. He just seems to be in a shell, and he's quiet and on his own. But I've got a buddy that I work with that suggested that I try an oil for his feet. And I'm not into that witchcraft, this stuff is going to be great. It's awesome stuff. But he told me that he can't guarantee that it works, but he's seen it work before, and why not give it a shot? So I asked my son, I said, would you be willing to put this oil on your feet? And it's every day, just, a few drops every day. And he said he would try it because he knows that he has autism. He knows that he's just a little different than his brother and sister and the people he goes to school with. So he said, yeah, he would try it. So it's kind of a two-part thing. The first oil you put on your feet for about 10 days it's a detox, and he did that religiously every day for 10 days. And then he started doing the autism, I think it's called autism support, but he used that on his feet for maybe a month straight. And for something that we weren't sure was going to work, it didn't take long to see that the little changes in him, the way he talked, he pronounces his words more clearly. One of the biggest things that we noticed was for a kid who doesn't talk to people and doesn't make friends, his mom told him, you're a senior this year, you're going to go to the prom. And he just simply said, no, he wasn't going. And she made the threat that if you don't find somebody to go to the prom with,
Oh, I can't hear it, Alpa. It lost video. Oh, there we go.
somewhere during the prom,
Oh, let me play that.
his brother and friend went
It stopped where
out
the
of the room.
prom.
When they came back, and the brother brought a friend with him. So there were three couples, 6 people. Somewhere during the prom, his brother and friend went out of the room. When they came back, my oldest boy was dancing. With all 3 girls. And that's not something that he would do. So, sorry. So, we ask, my wife and I, we both noticed a difference. And we asked my daughter, have you ever noticed anything? You noticed anything different? And she just right away, absolutely. She says she likes the way he talks back. He's getting kind of mouthy, which in most families, that's not what you want, but he's a teenager, he's going to be kind of mouthy. Does he need more oil? And this is kind of a positive negative thing. And he told me, he says, yeah, I need more. And I noticed that the bottle of oil on his dresser was still just a little bit, a little more than half full. And I asked him, are you using this oil, or did you mix them up and use the other one instead? And he said, no, I wasn't using it. And the good part is he's only used a little less than half of this little bottle, and everybody noticed the change. This is a good thing. It's good for him. Maybe it will work for somebody else, and why not try it? It's natural. It's not drugs. He's not being shot up with any syringes or anything like that. It's a simple, easy thing to do. And I say, if it works for my kid, it might work for somebody else's kid. Give it a shot. You have nothing to lose. Just give it a shot. That's all I'm saying.
Cool.
Yeah. So
That was
I have a
amazing.
third.
That made me tear up.
sorry.
I have a 31-year-old Asperger kid, which is high functioning autism under the definition. I assume it'll work at any age, huh?
Yeah. So I'll answer that question just as soon as, let me just get off this. So just everyone remember 20% off for October, and that's for the yearly membership. So October, all in capital letters with a 20. And then of course, for anyone who wants RE via Stargate, please use the October code for Stargate for RE in October, Stargate 10. And I'll have all the information in the description below as well for both purchasing the pyramids, the capstones, and RE, and coming on to Good Lion. So here they are. You can choose the monthly plan, but we've got the promotion for the yearly. And then there's a Good Lion Mug Club as well, if people want that. And that includes all those benefits as well. So I'll stop that there. And
If you want to red pill somebody, a Good Lion subscription is the best way to do it. I mean, everything is there, everything.
yeah, it is there. I mean, how much time and effort Nick has spent on making these movies from day one. And his intention was just YouTube. He was putting all his movies out on YouTube. He was getting phenomenal views. And I remember before I met Nick, a friend of mine said, look, this is the person you need to interview because he's, speaking to a subject close to your heart. You guys would be great. And look where we are now, a year on, with what he's achieved with Good Lion. And the intention was just to continue on YouTube, but being censored, being taken off, then propelled him to start up his own platform, and which we kind of parallel to Netflix. And I think it's really important to take stock of this right now. I encourage anyone who's watching this, that what have you learned in these 2 years about yourself? Where are you hiding yourself? If you're on this side of the page, as I call it, or this camp and this truth the movement, I have a lovely friend of mine, Sneha, who's watching, who has really turned, her situations that haven't been the most positive, for example, into starting her own coaching business. She's been a part of the corporate world, and now it's propelling her to just having this awakening journey, and she's starting her own business in helping other people. So I get, and a lot of people in this movement get criticized for selling things. Think about what we're actually trying to do. Autism is a subject very close to my heart. This pyramid foundation is information that has been lost through history and the energetic powers that they have. Lisa's provided a lot of information with facts, and as has Charlie. So I'm not forcing anyone to buy anything I'm recommending things to the audience. If it resonates, it resonates. If it doesn't, or if you think somebody else can benefit, then do pass this information on. I think Charlie's just having his own party here.
I know, right?
Yeah, so I hope
He's
you
probably
found
eating chocolate cake or something back. He just keeps popping off.
yeah, and
yeah. Well, let me say real quick, you know, I really feel that a lot of our most powerful light workers are hiding in the shadows right now. They're the ones who are suffering with drug addiction, alcohol addiction, things like that. They know that things are off down here and they've been kind of hiding from reality. They don't know how to deal with it. But once they overcome those with things like Ari could help them detox, you know, from the alcohol, from the drugs. You know, it's going to help them. Well, it's going to help them find themselves, just like it does with the children with autism. Ari will help them find themselves, and they'll be able to participate in what's going on with this awakening. You know, it's going to help everybody find themselves in the end.
The mother of one of the ladies who gave a testimonial, and you talk about the drug addiction, her son became very addicted to pharmaceutical drugs. So when we talk to addictions, we know that the pharma companies have subliminally made people drug addicts. We're not talking in the sort of narcotic way or in that way, but to pharmaceutical drugs. And I know a lot of my aunties, uncles, they're all very reliant on their thyroid tablets, their diabetes tablets, etc. So, you know, we wanting to get people weaned off this is an arduous task, and it's having that trust. Again, have to put the disclaimer out there. We're not saying that we're curing, we're providing the cure. We have to do all of this. We're just providing support. So I just want to make that clear, YouTube. YouTube, doing everything right. Sorry, I have to be a bit careful. You know how it is, go to community guidelines. But I really appreciate everyone that's watched this far, and you know, the beautiful research that Charlie and both Lisa have shared this evening. I really enjoyed it. I really am enjoying this. I'm really going to start doing more shows again, because I've been out for a while and I do one a month or something, but I've had 2 today. I was invited on someone's show. So, and then I was looking forward to this today. But Lisa, you were just wanting to mention something before I think I interrupted you.
No, I think, well, actually, yes. If you do send me some of the Ari, I will do a live blood analysis with it as well. So you'll have the live blood cell footage to show people this is how much it actually changes you, you know?
Yeah.
And
so,
I will definitely try to convince my son to try this as well.
Yes, you were saying that. So right now, the feedback we've had from mothers who have said, and you can just, I implore everyone to watch the last interview that I've done for Ari with Donald and this lady called Erica. She's a phenomenal lady. She's the one who's given us a beautiful feedback about her 4-year-old son who could barely speak, only had 15 max words in his vocabulary. Sort of 6 days into using the detox, she didn't have the best start. It was a little bit too much for him because he was on medication as well. And unfortunately, he had a reaction. He was going a little bit, she said, very hyper in the initial first 6 days. The detox was quite what I would say would be a Alzheimer's reaction, because she then realized that she was putting too much on his feet and through the navel. So she lowered the dosage, and she persevered for 15 days. So what we say is do the detox, the heavy metal detox, for 12 days. You can do a few days more, depending on where you are in your journey. But we say a minimum of 12 days, and people who want to continue using it every month, we say, like, you know, you can do it for like 12 to 15 days, then to, you know, go off and then see how you feel. And that's for adults and children alike, and then go on to the support for for people with autism or that need support. So what she said was that after going on to the autism for a few days, autism support for a few days, after having done the detox, lowered the dosage, she had a phenomenal response from the teachers, her son. He went from 15 words to 200. He started making eye contact. He started being affectionate, because there's an emotional disconnection for people with autism. They have boundaries, or find find it difficult to express their emotions with ease. And it's all very variable. You know, there's no one shoe fits all, but the eye contact is something that's quite common. Not being able to express themselves, and especially with children, having a lot of flapping, twirling. And she said that all of that subsided. The teachers then were calling her up saying, what have you done? Like, he's hugging us all now. Like, and this was a big change in a matter of weeks. And I think that because he was 4 years old, he hasn't been subjected to as many toxins as us as adults have. So I had a lady that wrote in and said, I've done 12 days, but I'm not feeling much. But she was 67. And I'm not saying that it won't work, but she needs to sort of use a bit more and use it a bit more frequently, go past the 12 days. So it's variable, but the feedback that we have has been really good. So yes, I'll get some sent out to you, and I'd love for your feedback and see how it is. So
Absolutely.
So what Nick and I are doing is that we want to, we're doing this organic launch, word of mouth, doing it on shows like this. I'm not here to blaze it so huge in this kind of our research stage as well.
Right.
I'm just, opening this up to people and feedback to us and see what their experience is like.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Very nice. And we like to hear the same from, the people that use our devices as well,
Yes.
our pyramids and our capstones and stuff, is, share your experiences, because that's going to entice others to try it, and it's simple technologies like these that have been hit from us that are going to create real health in this world. The biggest drug dealer, like Alpa was saying a little bit ago, the biggest drug dealer in the world is the pharmaceutical industry. And, why do people go to man to heal themselves when we are created by God? We should go inside. We all have that spark of God inside of us and the ability to heal ourselves. So, just using these tools to reconnect. But people think it's silly. Oh, sitting inside a silly shape isn't going to help me at all. Well, it will. And it's, I know it will. Just
And
give
the
it a
science is there to
try.
prove it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Just give it a try. There's so many things out there.
I could talk to you both forever.
I know, right?
Yeah, I know. We got to stop.
Yeah, we do, because I'm Kenzo's looking at me and saying, "Mummy, where's my food? It's 9:30 in the evening. You normally feed me at 8."
Yeah, my dogs are sitting outside my door. I can hear them batting on it. So
Yeah, well, teaches you to be fussy, Kenzo. He just doesn't eat at the moment. He's on a strike, on a hunger strike. So, but look, I've thoroughly enjoyed this evening, everybody. I just want to acknowledge everyone who stayed till the end. I really appreciate you. Thank you for listening to us, and both of you, thank you for sharing this wonderful information. We've been planning it for a while, and today was just perfect.
It
I
was.
enjoyed this, and I definitely implore everyone to buy that book. And if you buy the pyramid, you get it on the PDF. You send it right? Is
That's
that
right.
right?
Yeah, it's in with your confirm.
Yeah. And honestly, these are magnificent. The energy that they have. I don't even put it on the pyramid because I'm too scared for it to be outside.
Yeah.
So I put it close to my bed, and I have it on my shows, whether it shows in the show or I just keep it on the side, just for that magnificent energy. So with that said, everyone, thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed both of you as my guests today, and I will have you back both again very soon.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Okay.
Lots of love to everybody. Thanks for
right.
watching. And I'll go through
Thank
later
you.
and answer some questions too. I wasn't able to read a lot of the comments yet. So
Yeah, no, I just think everyone's mainly said that, this information is really useful, just very the curiosity. This is it. See, we want people are interested, and fascinating was a word that was used a lot. So thank you everyone so much. And
Thank you.
gonna stop the live stream now. Okay. God bless everyone. Bye.
All right.
Bye. There we go.
Since I crumped out, several times during the show? I don't have a recording. Do you mind if I download from you?
Yeah, sure. I'll just, you've got it, Lisa, as well?
I did not record it. I should
Oh,
have.
no,
I
no
didn't
worries.
even think of that. I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah,
no.
well, it's